Vegas and Atlanta put up impressive numbers in the APFL. The Unicorn Legends dominated the Red Dragons in the WRL. And we have some website updates for you tonight. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Hey fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. A little bit of a rough start there because it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here, but it is nice to be back on the interwebs again. If you are out there, make sure you say hello to us tonight, and hopefully we will get this thing working correctly. I have no idea what the beginning of the show looked like because I was in the middle of adjusting the camera, and then I hit live, and because everything is about an 8-second delay, I have no idea if you all saw me adjusting the camera before I went live. I'll have to go back and watch the replay after this is all done. But hey, we are here for the Week 10 wrap-up. I think the last wrap-up we did was probably Week 7. We've had some, health issues that's kept us away from the fan cave and being able to do these broadcasts. But we are back tonight. Here is the agenda tonight. As always, we're going to go through the APFL and then each one of the 4 regions of the WRL. I'm going to go through and show you the website updates. Some of these might be repeats from the last time that I did this because I don't actually remember what I said last time. But there are updates to pretty much the majority of all of the pages since the last time I was on here. So we're going to go through those. We'll go through the standings in the FSA Sunday Ticket, and then we'll talk about when our next broadcast is going to be. I got a couple people out there saying hello. Erica's out there saying, hey, Erica, how are you? Bob is out there with us as well saying, hello, how are you, sir? All right, let's get this APFL stuff going and make sure that I set this up right because now I'm a little bit nervous that maybe I don't have it right. All right, I don't have it right. Let's get that shut off real quick. All right, let's get to these games of the week, starting with the Las Vegas and the Warhorse matchup. Las Vegas posted 154 points and a 154-114 demolition of the Los Angeles Warhorse. This was the highest single game output in our 4th season of the APFL. The Marauders, 268.32 combined points with the Warhorse, also represents the season's highest scoring game as well. And not to be outdone over on the AFC side, over on the NFC side, Atlanta countered with 153.88 points and their destruction of the New Orleans Angels. They put up 109 points. This produced the season's second highest combined score at 263.82 points. With this win, the Dirty Birds improved to 5-5 and are now in the lead of the NFC South. Tracy out there with us as well. Tracy, how are you? I'm glad you can make it. And then on the opposite end of all of this scoring, we had the Tennessee Spartans only manage 16.1 points as they lost to the Jacksonville Prowlers 78.42 to 16.1. This was the lowest single game output in Season 4 history. Spartans fell below the Los Angeles Bighorns' previous season low of 31.22 points, which happened in Week 1. This set a new benchmark for the lowest offensive futility. All right, let's go back now and look at those playoffs. So here is the playoffs now in the APFL coming out of Week 10, getting ready to go into Week 11, which we will start here in about 40-ish minutes, 50-ish minutes. NFL will be going live. APFL playoffs, as we mentioned, Atlanta's win over New Orleans puts them now in the number 4 spot, even at 5-5. Every single one of the teams that are behind them in the 5, 6, and 7 spot all have better records than them, but they are the division lead right now in the NFC South, which is why they have the number 4 seed. Look around the rest of that bracket. I will leave it up there as I talk about what we're looking at in Week 11. APFL is back in to divisional play this week, and we have a couple of key matchups. We have Baltimore versus Pittsburgh, Jacksonville versus Indianapolis, and a huge game between the Detroit Pride and the Green Bay Cheeseheads. All three of those games, playoff implications among all of them. All right, you can definitely tell it's been 3 weeks. I feel way off right now. Let's get to the WRL, and we're going to start with the Loch Ness region, and I have no idea if this is set up right or not, so I'm just going to preempt it with that, and let's click on to the Loch Ness. All right, so we're going straight into the game. For the Loch Ness, Totally Turtly cruised past the Horny Toads 130-85. It wasn't a particularly dramatic matchup, but it was telling. Horny Toads posted the lowest score in the region and one of the lowest scores across the entire WRL this week. Totally Turtly stayed steady. The Toads lineup was hit hard by buys and thin depth. Over in the Red Dragons region, in a week where there was a lot of sluggish scoring across a lot of the other regions, the Unicorn Legends reminded everyone what elite looks like. Their 181-118 takedown of the Bearcats wasn't just the highest score in the region, it was also the third highest score across the league. Their dominance is setting a pace in the Red Dragons region right now. They were our lead story for the week. On the website for the WRL story. All right, let's move on to the Cerberus region where we have 2 games to highlight over there. All right, so we are starting off with the Trolley Potters edging out the Dayton Cavalry by just 1.46 points. Final score there was 140.06 to 138.60. Cavalry's decision to leave 2 players on bye in their starting lineup is what really sealed their fate, though, and it seemed to kind of be the theme of this week, with a lot of teams leaving players in their lineups that were on bye or not leaving themselves a whole lot of options. Because their bench just wasn't deep enough to make sure that they had players that could go in there. But we had another game to highlight over in the Cerberus region, and that is the game between the Boss Hogs and the McCrackens. Boss Hogs finally got their first win of the season by a margin of only 0.92 points. Final score there was 121.44 to 120.52. Both games had incomplete lineups, but they were also unable to get too many players in there because of lack of depth. And we have the same thing happening in the Krakens region. The Bacchanalias walked away with the ugly win of the week, taking down the Rum Runners. Final score there was 95-71. Neither team had much to celebrate offensively. Both lineups were riddled with empty spots due to buys and, again, thin benches. The Rum Runners, 71 points, marked the 3rd lowest total of the WRL season. Let's get these power rankings up there real quick for you all. So here is the power rankings coming out of Week 10. The Maniacs continue to set the standard across the WRL landscape, maintaining the grip at the number 1 spot with a blistering 0.993 power ranking. The only thing keeping them from having a perfect power ranking right now is they are sharing that 9-1 record that they have with 2 other teams. And those teams are the Ohio River Monsters, who currently sit at number 2, and the Unicorn Legends that currently sit at number 3. So for the highlights for the, I don't know why it's black like that. There we go. The highlights for Week 11 for the WRL. We are back in divisional play in this league as well. The headline matchup for this week is going to be the Ohio River Monsters, which we just mentioned was at number 2, versus the E-Thugs. They are the number 12 rated team. Let's stick with the Week 11 theme as we are getting ready to have NFL kickoff here in about 40-ish minutes. Tonight we have the New York Jets versus New England Patriots. As you know, I always like to wear the hat of who I think is going to win on Thursday night. Of course, it's not going to be my Jets. I have this awesome minimalist New England hat on. New England is favored by 13.5. I don't even know if I would take Jets in the points. I really do believe that New England could cover that 13.5. And then we have a Sunday morning game because we are in Madrid this week. So we do have an early game, which is also going to affect your FSA Sunday ticket. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. That game is Washington at Miami. Miami favored by 2.5. And then Sunday Night Football, great game between the Lions and the Eagles. They will be in Philadelphia. Philly favored by 2.5. And then Monday Night Football, we got Dallas at Vegas. Dallas currently favored by 3.5. We've got 2 teams on bye this week, the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints. And that takes care of our Week 11 NFL primetime games. All right, let's move over to these website updates, and hopefully this will pop up on y'all's screen the way it's intended to be. Let me see if I can get this to show up. There we go. You don't want to see that. You want to see this. There we go. All right, at least we got the right thing up there now. All right, let me get logged in here so I can show you all of the fun stuff that we've been working on. Hopefully that gets me in. All right. So a couple things I want to highlight on here, and I don't remember, like I said, when the last time I did this, if how many of these I already showed you. But get logged into the website, or if you're just a casual user and you're out here on the majority of these buttons that end here on contact, you have to be logged in or registered to get the My Dashboard and the FSA Plus. But the About Us, this is the part I want to show you. If you come in here to the About Us and you scroll down, you see each one of these little images that are on here. One of the things I want to highlight is if you go here to the Hall of Fame, this has all 6 of our Hall of Fame members in there. I still got to get a picture of Jason. By the way, happy birthday to my best friend Jason. He turns 51 today. His beautiful bride drove out to see him in Springfield, Illinois. So they're having dinner or whatever they're doing as a couple right now. Jason still need a picture of you. But when you come in here and you're on our Hall of Fame page and you click on one of these Hall of Fame members' names, it comes in here now and gives the career highlights for those general managers that are in the Hall of Fame. So I wanted to show that off just in case I didn't do it last time. Something else I want to show, this is for the people that are not already part of FSA. If they're coming out here to see what we're all about, and they come in here and click on leagues now, and they're like, well, I wonder what the WRL, the APFL, APBL are all about. What are the rules for these leagues? We have added this button here where you can click on rules. We are on the WRL right now, so if you click on that, you will be able to see the WRL rules. So those are for the casual users that are out here that just come out and check out the website. All-time records, been working this week on making sure that we get the most recent year, or the oldest year that I'm still working on getting inputted into the database, and that is 2015. So if you come here, you'll be able to see some of the teams that their first year was in 2015. You'll be able to see their records right here, and then you can see how far along that I've updated this right now. I'll come down here to my team. I've got 8 weeks in so far. I think we played 13 or 14 weeks that season in the playoffs, so I got to get the rest of the season up. I think this ended up being my worst season in the FSA career so far. I think I went 2-11 that year, so I think we did have 13 games. If you come back up here and you click on contact now, this form does work. It took a little bit of time to get it working, but it does in fact work. What else works is also live scoring. So let me get over onto my dashboard and we'll click on the APFL. If you come in here now and you click on live scoring underscores, and you click on it, it's going to take a second for it to load because it's going out and doing the API calls off of the MFL website. But what you're going to see is a series of what looks like box scores up here at the top. These are all showing zeros because, of course, we haven't started Thursday Night Football. But what you will see is I am playing the Buffalo Mafia this week. Whenever the scores are live, these will be popping up with the actual numbers on there, or the scores, the points that the players are gaining. And then you will get a total out here on the left-hand side. Now, there is some work that still needs to be done here. These cards might get a little bit taller because one of the things that I would like to add in here is who the particular player is playing. So let's say Green Bay this week is, I wish I could, let's see, who are they playing this week? Let's see if I can pull it up off my clipboard real quick. Green Bay is playing... Somebody out there could probably tell me faster than my eyeballs are finding it. Green Bay is playing the New York Giants this week. So what I would like to get added on here is them playing the New York Giants, what the score is, and then where they're at in the game as far as what quarter and how much time is left in that quarter. Things that we would normally see on our other fantasy football websites. Right now, even if I didn't have that there, I would like to get these scores lined up with the score over here on the far side for the team, but a little bit of cascading style sheet just to get that changed. But just so you know, if you come in here tonight as the games are going and you have anybody playing on Thursday night, these scores will update live. I've been working on that for a couple weeks. The other thing that I've been working on really hard this week is the fantasy previews. I wanted this to look a little bit different. I feel like we've got to find our theme here somewhere, because when you look at the league scoreboard, and then you look at the live scoring, and then you look at the fantasy previews, and then you look at the submit lineup, which I'm going to show you here in a second, everything looks a little bit different. So what we need to do is try to find a common ground. So basically giving you a whole lot of options, then we got to figure out which ones we like the best. So you come out here to fantasy previews, we're going to look at the exact same game, Buffalo Mafia versus the New York Wings. Come out here and click on preview, and this pops up now. So it will show the record for each one of the teams, with name and logo, and it will show what the predicted final score is. This is what MFL has projected as the final score, 103-95. Below that, what you can see is the all-time head-to-head record between these two teams. Buffalo has the margin on me at 4-3. It will also show in order from left to right who won what games in order. And then if you want to see a full complete history, you can click on this button right here, and it'll show you the most recent at the top and the oldest one at the bottom. Show who they were, what the final score was, and who the winner of that game was. And that's got a pop-up feature on there, and I'm not sure if the pop-up actually shows. It does show on the screen, all right. And then they will also show you the preview points for each one of the players as you scroll down. Something else I would like to add onto this, which won't get updated live because, of course, this is not live scoring. I would at least like to have the opponent that they're playing against, date and time for that game. So if it's a Thursday game, Sunday game, Monday game, you'd be able to see that here on your preview. So that's something else that needs to get added on here as well. All right, so worked really hard to get that going. I didn't like the way that it looked before, so I like this layout a whole lot better. It's kind of changing the aesthetic of what we've got on all of the other pages. We just got to find one and stick with it and get it ready for 2026. So the submit lineup page, because I said that I was going to show you this as well. Based on your input, this has been changed for the better as well. This looks a little bit more like the way Sleeper does theirs for those of you who play on Sleeper. It still needs some adjustments on it as well. But what you can see here is your starting lineup is up here at the top. Your bench players are down here at the bottom. If you're going to change your lineup, you would literally click on the position of the player, and then you will get this modal pop-up window, and then you can choose whatever other player you want to put in that spot, and then make sure you hit submit lineup. This does, in fact, affect the My Fantasy League page. And after you submitted that lineup, if you came back over then and looked at the preview and or the live scoring, it will automatically update here on this as well. So a couple things that we still need to work on. Let me go back over here to this page here. I want to go back over to my dashboard. My apologies. I will pull the screen back up in just a second. A couple of the things that we still need to work on are anything after submit lineup. Player stats still need to be worked on. Anything that's under transactions, the add, drops, waivers, and trades. Draft and rules work, but we need to figure out if there is a way for us to get the draft results on here and not just the draft order, because that's all we can get right now. And then just like it was for the casual user on the outside, depending on what page you're on, this is the New York Wings here, the rules pop up here for the APFL. One other thing that I wanted to show you as well, something under standings. We got league standings, we got power rankings. Right now we don't have any power rankings in the APFL, but if I go out here and I change my team over to a WRL team, and then I go under standings and hit power rankings. I showed this to Paul the other day while he and I were on StreamYard, and I wanted to show everybody else this. So we do the top 25 graphic each week for everybody, but if you're wondering where you are, if you are in fact outside the top 25, come over here on the FSA website, make sure you're logged in, go to your WRL team, come to standings, click on power rankings, and then as you scroll, you'll see we have all 48 teams that are on here. And then this shows the list and the power rankings of the 48 teams. Now, if you want further details, you can click on this button right here that says Show Details. Scroll down again. What you're going to get is you're going to get the week-by-week all-play record. Below that, you're going to get the win-loss percentage rankings and how many points each team has got. Total points rankings and how many points each team has got, and then the all-play rankings, which is the same thing you just saw above, but it's actually given the points out here now as well. That is there for any of you stat nerds that really, really want to dig into the power rankings. It is there for you to look at, especially if you are outside the top 25 and want to know where you're at. So I know that was a really long explanation of everything that's going on the website. What I would really like to do is have more of you go out there and hit the website and tell me things that you like and don't like. This is going to be the way we operate in 2026, hopefully to be able to pull everybody away from MFL and just come straight here to I Play FSA instead. All right, FSA Sunday Ticket, the next button on our screen here. This is the results through week 10 of where we're at with the FSA Sunday Ticket. Was able to get the top 10 here on the screen. This week we have 13 games on Sunday. As I said, only 2 teams off. That's Indianapolis and New Orleans. And then don't forget we have the game that's in Madrid, our international game this week, which means we have an early game on Sunday, 9:30 in the morning East Coast time. Make sure that you get your picks in before then. All right, let's talk about, before we finish the broadcast for the night, and we say when the next show is going to be, I wanted to bring up something. I think we mentioned it probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. We mentioned it really early in the season as well, that we are going to bring back the defunct dynasties. The old Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta leagues as they were. What we ended up doing was we grabbed 24 interested general managers. We've got them all in a channel on Discord. And what we're going to do is we had a poll over this last week of whether we were going to keep the traditional Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, if we were going to theme these leagues slightly different than what we did before. The poll came out and said we're going to do it slightly different than what we did before. What we're going to do is we are going to name each one of these leagues, which will be 12 teams in each league, after a defunct professional football league. So not just Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta like we had before, and you were able to pick any team from any of the defunct leagues. Each one of these leagues will theme one of these 12-team groups. So we had a poll this week, had every one of the 24 general managers pick 2 that they liked. The 2 that came out on top was the XFL and the Arena Football League. So those are going to be the 2 leagues that start our defunct Dynasty Federation in 2026. The next part that we've got now is to figure out which general managers are going to go in which league, whether that's going to be the XFL or the Arena Football League. More details to come on that in the next couple of weeks. Holidays are coming up right now. We don't have to rush to get this done, but I want to get past this point so everybody knows where they're playing, and then we can start working on the bylaws of what it's going to look like moving forward with the defunct Dynasty Federation leagues. So more to follow. Probably we'll talk about that on upcoming shows. But if you are one of those teams that are in the D2F, make sure you're paying attention to the chat channels in Discord so you don't miss anything. All right, next broadcast is going to be on 20 November. That is next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. Unless I end up in the hospital again, we will be back live next Thursday. I want to thank our sponsors, Sport Management Solutions, our title sponsor, and then, of course, the Recast, who are the official music of Fantasy Sports Alliance. Make sure you go out and follow those guys. Whoever is doing their social media right now has really stepped up their game, and their stuff that they're pushing out right now is awesome. So make sure you go out and show them your love and support. Thank you for watching the Fanatically Real broadcast sponsored by Sport Management Solutions. Thank you to the Recast, our other sponsor. If you liked tonight's show, please go out, like, share, subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media outlets. And remember, we are fanatically real. Everybody have a great night. Watch Thursday Night Football, and we will see you back here again next Thursday night. Y'all have a great night.